Welcome to the Sober Strength Podcast. I'm your host, Jesse Carajat, USMC veteran, dual certified health and fitness coach, and mental health advocate. Thank you for showing up for the show, and thank you for showing up for yourself today. And today on the show, we have Jeff Byers, founder and CEO of Momentous Supplements, one of the nation's leading, most innovative supplement brands. Before starting Momentous, Jeff was a professional football player in the National Football League, a national champion and captain at USC, and the National Gatorade High School Football Player of the Year, amongst other accolades. So basically, he's a badass, and he's cooler than you and me, and that's okay. Jeff joined the show to talk about how supplements can support mental, emotional, and overall health for not just anyone, especially for those who are attempting to achieve and even maintain sobriety. So it is a under-discussed topic that he and I thought would bring some great value and insights for anyone out there who's on this sobriety journey, so you won't want to miss it. So before we get started and jump in, as always, wanted to strongly recommend that you dive into the Altum Fitness free companion community to this podcast. You'll find forums, virtual meetups, resources, fitness programs, nutrition guidance, and a tribe of like-minded individuals to strengthen your habit change or sobriety journey. So guys, no gotchas here. It's a free community. We put it out there and we would love for you to join. You can find links to access the community in the show notes to this episode, as well as on our website at altumfitness.com. That's altumfitness.com. So please check it out. And lastly, if you haven't already, please, if you would follow and maybe give a rating for this show, that goes such a long way in helping us find other people so that they could benefit from the content that we put out. And if you wouldn't mind even leaving us a review, we would be so grateful. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, the very powerful Jeff Byers. Let's go deep. All right, everybody, welcome to the Sober Strength Podcast. I'm here with the powerful Jeff Byers, founder and CEO of Momentous. How you doing, Jeff?
I'm doing good. Thanks, Jesse.
My pleasure. Thanks for being here, man. I realized right as I press go that this is the first time I've ever worn a polo in my podcast. And I don't know why, but I think subconsciously it's because I'm meeting with you.
That's rolling out the red carpet. So I'm in shorts and a t-shirt for everybody who's listening. There's not many people who would be like, hey, Jeff, I need to wear a polo for. Everybody sees me, they're like, man, I could wear shorts and a t-shirt all day long.
Well, there you go. You got one from me. So I'm super pumped about this conversation because changing habits, particularly changing something as insidious as an addiction, is hard. It's hard on our bodies. It's hard on our relationships. It's hard on our mental health, our emotional health. And it stands to reason that supplements absolutely should be part of that process, whether it's achieving sobriety for the first time or for the first time in a long time, or maintaining sobriety. It's so obvious to me that supplements should be part of that conversation. However, it's not the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, or even sixth thing that people talk about when they start moving towards healing up and moving away from whatever substance is bothering them. So I do believe this conversation is going to be really important. First question, though, because I do want for context for people to understand who you are and where you come from, can you just share a little bit about your background and how you came to be founder and CEO of Momentous?
Yeah, my background pretty unique in the sense that a lot of people in my role don't get here in the same path I did. So I went to school at USC, was a two-time captain of the football team, and I had a great opportunity to go play in the NFL. I played in the NFL for 4 years, walked away. There was always life after football for me. Had a bunch of injuries, et cetera. was really worried about long-term brain health. And I retired. My last full season was 2013, and this was when a lot of the TBI, CTE, all the stuff was getting big. And to me, that really created a lot of fear in me around something that I love, this game, really inhibiting my life in the future. And anyway, so walked away from the game of football, took a finance job, realized instantly finance was not what I wanted to do in my life, and ended up joining early stage biotech. And that kind of all spun into becoming what is Momentous today. But when we founded the underlying entity behind Momentous, my co-founder and I, this was essentially 6 years ago, almost to the day, we never wanted to be a supplement company, and we didn't start as a supplement company. And we tried not to be a supplement company for a long time. And it was only recently in the last year that I own, what do you do? I run one of the best supplement companies in the world. Right. And it took a while for me to own supplements. And why is that? I fundamentally don't trust this space. And it was because when I played in the NFL, you were surrounded by some of the best practitioners in the world, strength coaches, dietitians, human performance, athletic trainers, and they got you into the right products that were the best products, and they vetted all of it for you, right? Or for your specific reason. And what I realized is the supplement land is the Wild West.
Yes.
Right? And there's some really great companies out there that make incredibly high quality, third-party certified, but there's not a lot of brands that I've resonated with. There's this huge opportunity. How do we bring best products curated by experts and have access to these practitioners to the market and build a brand around it that somebody's proud to say, hey, I use Momentous, right? Because ultimately, my belief is our category, my industry, can fundamentally have impact in health, wellness, and long-term happiness of human beings, right? But it can't do that if it's the Wild West, if there's a lack of trust and transparency, if there's so much noise that a consumer is like, what the hell do I do? Why do I take what I take? And because everything in life, and I'm sure, Jesse, you talk about this a lot, is about consistency, right? And bone-crushing consistency is really, really hard, right?
And expensive. Yeah.
And breaking habits and creating habits is really, really, really hard too. And when we think about long-term health and long-term performance, it is bone-crushing consistency that creates long-term habits, that creates long-term benefits, right? Like doing one thing for 3 weeks doesn't have an impact in your life at all. Cool, right? Great. I got a lot of exercise this week. In the grand scheme of things, it does not impact my life.
Right.
It
Well,
might make me happy.
I stopped drinking for 3 weeks, and then I binge drank on day 22, and now here I am again. Did nothing.
Right. And it's hard.
Yeah.
Right? Like creating habits or removing habits is incredibly hard. And like we're programmed to do what we do. Right. Anyway, so Momentous, one of the, we are this really up and comer in this space. My goal and vision for this company is to, in 10 years, to be the undisputed leader in our category, right? I want to pick up my industry, right? Pull it out of the swamp, right? Through certifications, knowledge, transparency of sourcing, clinical research, education, right? All of these things, right? We need to do to lift this industry up so that we can drive an impact in health and wellness over long periods of time, because I do believe our category can have an impact. And so we work with nearly 200 pro and college sports teams. We've won 9 innovation contracts with the Department of Defense to do clinical research, product development, which has been a really fun thing. We've done a bunch of advocacy work on Capitol Hill as well to expand access to our category to the warfighter, to our military service members, which has been a really big, fun project, incredibly rewarding for me and my team on that. And then we have some of the best experts, advisors that are around the company to help us think about what does our product curation look like? How should we think about education? Because to me, our category is like the 80-20 rule. And so the 80-20 rule is basically like doing 20% of the things drives 80% of the value, right? It's like that in almost everything we do in the life. That's my goal, is to be like, what is like the 20% of the things that we can do in our category that drive 80% of the impact for the community. So,
well, first off, I want to thank you for appreciating veterans, because I know that Momentous has a huge heart for veterans, and you're doing a lot of good work to help in those areas where they need you the most. So a question in here for you now, I am going to kind of stay here in your brand, is all of the things that you're talking about, certifications of your products, partnerships with these major kind of figures in these spaces, doing the things you're doing around like legislation, lobbying. I would imagine it's so important for the end consumer to understand and appreciate and find value in the effort that Momentous is putting in, so that they have brand loyalty. But there's a phrase that I saw connected to you and Momentous I just wanted to ask you about and just have you expand on it. But it is, tough word to say here, by the way, democratizing high performance. Democratizing high performance. Can you say a little bit about what that means?
Yeah. This is our underlying like mission of the business. Okay. And so what I mean by democratizing high performance, and so like people get stuck on this word performance. Like performance is not an athletic word. Like I'm talking about performance for life. Like me, you, your listeners, how do I get a little better today, right? So that I'm a little better tomorrow, and then I'm a little better when I'm 60 or 70. Like I want to age gracefully. That is performance, right? And so what we learned and what I found when I left the NFL and then working in kind of some elite spheres and biotech is what is happening in high performance and this high performance ecosystem in sport and even in business doesn't trickle to the consumer always, right? And even a lot of the leaders in the space don't understand what it means. And so what we saw was this big gap is how do you take the learnings and bring them to the masses? And what that means is access to the right people, access to the right knowledge around products, and the highest quality products in the world, right? And so it's like bringing the knowledge, the people, and the products to bear to drive an impact. Democratizing high performance is taking all the stuff we do in elite sport and elite performance settings. What does it take to perform there and bring it to the consumer in a meaningful way and button it up? Are we bringing the best to bear and the best products and not holding punches? So that's I think you're right in that the insinuation is that performance is like a faster run, a bigger bench, a higher jump, etc. But it's not. It's really, what does performance mean to you? Because your customers' performance could just mean, I want to wake up after like a well-rested night and feel energized to go pick up my grandkids and go to the park. And conversely, it could be like, I want to show up to the gym today and freaking crush and hit a new 1-rep max. But like everything in between, performance can be anything to anyone. Let's pivot. This is a perfect segue. I'm going to allow you to curate and kind of isolate and identify different products that could help people specifically in that recovery space perform. And what does perform look like for them? It could mean, I don't want to drink today. It could mean, I haven't been drinking for 10 days, but I want to feel energized and I want to sleep well. It could be, I'm pretty close to a year and I just am entering a stressful season of my life and I want to have a general, your word, consistent kind of supplement, word you don't like, routine to help me kind of stay on task. So the first question that I would ask, and I'll preface it this way, is that chronic alcohol use, without a doubt, leads to malnutrition. Our bodies don't absorb vitamins and minerals the same way. Our brain, like the neuroscience, the chemicals, neurons, endorphins, they get all out of whack. People that are chronically abusing not just alcohol, but any substance they're not healthy, right? And when someone decides to move towards sobriety, that's one, call it, season. And when they're maintaining it, the further out they get from the last time they used a substance or ingested something is another season, right? Can you kind of just talk through, if you're thinking about a general supplement or supplement stack, as they say in the biz, right? Can you just kind of talk through a foundational supplement plan that would benefit not just somebody that's moving towards sobriety, maybe just kind of maintaining a healthy life?
Hey, Sober Strength listeners, sorry to interrupt this episode. It's your host, Jesse Carajet, and I have a quick but exciting announcement. If you're listening and you're struggling to break free from alcohol or any harmful habit and looking to elevate your physical fitness and emotional health, I can help. For the first time, I'm offering direct one-on-one coaching with me to help people improve those habits and reach the best fitness they've had in their life. So if you want to work with me, I'd love to meet you. You can book a discovery call. Go to the show notes, look down below, click on book a discovery call with Jesse, or go to ultimfitness.com and you can book your free discovery call. We'll take some time to get to know each other, set up weekly meetings going forward, and I will design a personalized fitness, nutrition, and lifestyle plan for you. You'll also get unlimited lifetime access to the Ultim Fitness app and the Ultim Fitness community. So you'll get the coaching, accountability, and motivation you need to be successful, to break free from your habits and live the life that you desire and you deserve. So book some time with me. Now back to the show.
So with that, I think fundamentally one of the biggest things I've learned is like, I call it the big three. There are three things that are incredibly well researched, that have no cross-reactivity, and that drive the biggest benefit overall from humans, and things that are very, very hard to get from your diet, right? When we think about general supplements. And so those three things, right? Be ready, because this is groundbreaking. These are like crazy things. Protein, omegas, and creatine, right?
Okay.
Fundamentally, those are the three things that if I was saying, what should every human, broad statement, should be thinking about supplementing? Those are the three things that drive the biggest impact. And let me explain why, right? Protein, if you're an active individual, you need to get somewhere between 0.8 and 1.2 grams per pound of body weight, right? An active, healthy adult individual. That is a lot of grams of protein. That's like on the high end, like I need to get somewhere between 200 and 300 grams of protein a day, right? Fundamentally, that is impractical to do from whole food sources. It can be done, but you also get a lot of negative things that come with it. Other calories from fat, right? Right? Eating lots and lots of red meat cannot be good. So protein, so like whey protein isolate or plant-based protein is really inexpensive on a per gram basis, holistically, right? Compared to a whole food protein, right? Number two is omega-3s. And this, so the next two, omegas and creatine, they are really about brain health. What we know about addiction is it has massive impacts on how our brain functions at work. So,
100%.
Right? Omega-3s and the research that they're doing around omega-3s, around traumatic brain injury, long-term brain health, right? All are tied together. It's like, having adequate omega-3 levels is really, really important here.
Yep.
Another thing about omega-3s, we get a lot of omega-6 in our diet. We don't get a lot of omega-3s in our diet. And the only two omega-3s that we really need to consume externally are DHA and EPA, right? And the problem is when you go to the store, unlike like protein and creatine, the sourcing matters and all of that. But omega-3s, the difference in quality is staggering, right? You go to a big box store and you buy fish oil. They don't even call it omega-3s because it has just oil in it, right? And people equate fish oil and omega-3s as the same thing. Yeah. Not all fish oil is omega-3s, but all omega-3s are fish oil, right?
Got it.
All right. In the grand scheme, you get omega-3s from algae and other things, but omega-3s come from fish. Got it. And the problem is the dosing of omega-3s, DHA and EPA are really important. So what you basically try to get is, over 1.5 grams combined. So 750 milligrams of each. The problem is most don't even have close to that in it, right? So, and then where you source is important because the quality distilling, the best stuff comes out of the Norwegian countries, not surprising there. They're really good at this stuff and it's kind of where it came from. Next is creatine. Creatine blew my mind about 4 years ago when I was talking to a neuroscientist. That was creatine is not for bodybuilders.
It's a nootropic, isn't it? A nootropic?
It's a nootropic. But it's not even a nootropic. It's a basic amino acid, right? The function of creatine is to help with energy production, but turns out there's something that uses more energy than anything else, your brain. Right. And creatine is prioritized in the brain. And so what they've seen is like athletes who take creatine pre-concussive event have lower TBI incidence, have all these things. It's neuroprotective. Also, it helps from recovery, right? And, it has cognitive support too, because our brain, when we run out of creatine, right, isn't as efficient. So creatine has some awesome studies coming out, and it's one of the most studied substances on earth. There's no cross-reactivity, but creatine comes from red meat, essentially. More like you got to drink like gallons of milk a day. And so those three are the big three. When you think about where should the foundation start on that? And then I think about kind of, right, addiction and what all that can mean. You're going through the phases of addiction and going into sobriety of like, you think about the stress and the cortisol and the responses that you have. Like, there are substances that help with that stress response and that bring down cortisol levels that should or could, not for everybody, have an impact. So those are like rhodiola, ashwagandha. There's other adaptogens out of there. Those are two big ones. L-theanine is a good one as well. And then also just, I would say, taking a bigger step back, fundamentally, sleep is the most important thing we can do. And alcohol, drugs, right? All these things, phones are bad for your sleep, right? Like you name it. Good sleep starts with good behaviors, right? And that just means protecting sleep time, right? Thinking about when you drink caffeine, right? It's even like if you're starting your journey for sobriety, like the difference between drinking and not drinking and the quality of sleep you get is immense. Like Dr. Huberman did a huge study on alcohol and like how much it fucks with your sleep.
Yeah.
It just destroys sleep.
Destroys it. Yep.
He told me one thing. He's like, you want to change somebody's life? Make them sleep. Get better sleep. You can change everybody's life with better sleep. It just does. It is an incredible tool because we are designed to sleep and we fundamentally need it. So there are a couple things. We have a couple of sleep products on market. The one kind of bundle or stack that we have, it's mag-threonate. You have L-theanine, which kind of helps you down-regulate, right? Prepare your body to sleep. And then apigenin is kind of the same thing, right? And those three things, all natural, non-habit forming, right? That can help you get to sleep, down-regulate, and increase the quality of sleep through that time, right? So we're going down a bunch of rabbit holes, but for me, when I think about everybody starts with the big three, and they're not that expensive, right? In the grand scheme of things when you look at it, right?
Yeah, by the way, you beat me too. I mean, there were three kind of goals I had with this interview with you, and one of them was a foundational component, and you hit on that with like the big three, I'll call them. Then I also wanted to ask you about two other areas, which is cognitive function and sleep. And you hit on all of them. So I love the call out first and foremost on the kind of the foundational of the protein, the omegas, and the creatine, in that we can't get those, or most people don't get those in their normal diet or their normal nutrition. So it's appropriate to supplement with them. There's some nuances around the protein recommendations because you will get the people that come out and say smaller percentages. Well, I'm vegan or I'm this, and obviously there's plant-based protein products that are out there to accommodate them. But generally speaking, I love that recommendation: protein, omegas, and creatine. Quick question for you, because I can almost envision a listener asking me this offline when I don't have access to you. What say you about a kind of multivitamin type supplement? Let's say a daily green or just a pill that's like a A to zinc. What do you think about those?
Yeah, we sell a multi, and it's like the Rolls Royce of multivitamins. Yes, but you don't start there, right? Multivitamin is like a good CYA, but if you get enough protein, right, omegas and creatine, that will have a bigger impact than that, right? Eat a well-balanced diet. That's why it's like, what can drive the biggest impact for you, right? And I know the big three can drive the biggest impact. There is sound clinical research around protein, creatine, and omegas, and getting enough of those things in the right high quality and consistently, right, on there. Multi, it can play a role. So like, I'll tell you how I use our multi. I use our multi when I travel, right? Because when I'm home, I eat a really good, well-balanced, lots of fruits, lots of vegetables, like, all of that. When I'm on the road, I'm like, man, I need some CYA here because I haven't been eating, I've been eating jerky sticks and peanuts and almonds.
Airport,
right?
yeah, the airport run.
Airport run. Like, I'm not eating anything that has color, right?
Yeah.
Or if I am, it's like, and I got like some salad for dinner and I'm still hungry. So, but not the broad. So that's how I use our multi, right? Just in full clarity. Now, some people derive great value from a multivitamin. It's not the big three, but like vitamin D and magnesium and a multi all fall in kind of like a glutamine, all fall in kind of like this basic health where it's like, hey, if you need that to fill a gap, great. But fill the big gaps first. That would drive the biggest impact for you.
Yeah, and drive the vitamins, minerals, and the essentials from a well-rounded nutritional lifestyle, not from supplements. So loud and clear, hearing you there. Moving towards cognitive, and I'm going to mention that for me personally, when I first stopped drinking, what I did was I looked for a non-alcoholic alternative for that. Whether it was a placebo effect or not, I needed to hold and drink something at 5 o'clock when I was transitioning from stressful work environment to stressful parent environment, frankly. But I just had to hold and drink something. And I wound up finding, I won't name the product, but I wound up finding a kind of a hops flavored club soda that had theanine and ashwagandha in it, because then you get the placebo effect of having the non-alcoholic drink and the supplement impact as well, which benefits, which calms your nervous system and things like that. And just as a quick aside, what I am going to do in the episode notes when we publish this is I'm going to have a list, I'll yet to be named, but like supplement shopping list from Momentous, and I'll link to these products and I'll summarize everything that Jeff and I spoke about today. When you think about the mental health space, right? And you think about Momentous, is there anything in the future that you're leaning into to specifically help people that are focused in that area? Because I know there's a focus on performance and sleep and all these other areas, but is there anything you're excited about or thinking about as mental health in general with supplements?
It's parallel to mental health, and I think it's actually really related to it. Is the area that I'm personally deeply invested in is long-term brain health, right? And long-term brain health and mental health are realistically very, very close, right, together. And, when we think about all of the veterans that are dealing with addiction and coping with addiction, a lot of that has to do with challenges in the hardwiring of the brain, right?
Yeah.
The fact that we know that creatine and omegas could drive a big impact in long-term brain health, it should be able to help, right? Like TBI and alcoholism, all of these things are tied together in drug use. So for me, we're doing a lot of work. And how do we think about preventing, minimizing, and healing the brain after a traumatic brain injury or a concussive event, or even a subconcussive event, and protecting it during those times? I believe that has great implications for long-term mental health. So that's really like the biggest tie into mental health that we can think about. And then the other thing that we know about mental health is just like community is so important in that. We're never going to be like a mental health supplement company. Like, we're going to have cognitive function, stress, cortisol, sleep, right? Those things fall under our brains. But like, what we can talk about, and what I think is like, how do we talk about behaviors and community and empathy, right? As like, because supplements are like a pillar in a house. It's not the pillar, right? But like, there's these other things. And for me as a brand, I think the more we can talk about community and empathy, and all of these things that can drive long-term performance, that drive mental health, because, right, when we think about like, early causes of death, right? Like the levers that we can pull, like happiness and community is a huge lever that drives long-term health, right?
I love that.
And a lot of those things is just like, can Momentous build a community? Can we inspire people to build little communities and help? And like, but also, how do we just talk about it? So anyways, we had one of our experts, her name's Dr. Stacey Sims. She's like one of the top female physiologists in the world. She's amazing. And I ask everybody, what are the 3 things to drive like long-term health and performance? And it's always surprising to see what you get. And Stacey, her third one was, we need more empathy in the world for long-term health and performance. And I was like, holy shit. She's like, because people who care and are happy and are in a community are like, just like, right? Like the support you need when you're dealing with hard things, you need people, and you need somebody to be like, you know what? You're fucked up because you have a problem. No, you need like, let me help you.
Yeah.
Right?
And you can't package and bottle and sell empathy. It can only come from another human being.
Yeah. And so it's how do we leverage our platform to talk about that, to inspire people to do that, to inspire people to have an impact in the world that you're having, right? Like that's important. And I think that's one of the cool things that we have at Momentous that I didn't even realize. Like, we have a platform now to talk, right? We don't have an echo chamber. We actually have a platform, a soapbox. And like, right, crazy or not, people listen to me and you. And our greatest calling is when you have an audience is to do good with that, right? And inspire people to spread that. And I do believe like community empathy can have a lot, and we don't sell that, but we can inspire people. We can talk about it, like, because that is a core pillar when we think about long-term health and wellness, right? Dietary supplements and nutrition, they're amazing. Not everybody needs them. Not everybody will derive value from them, right? And there's a lot of noise out there, but man, if you're in that part of your life, amazing. We want to help serve you. If you're not, like, I hope that we can inspire people to do better, to go have an impact on Capitol Hill, to get their legislators to care more about veterans and active duty and the brain health in there, because there's so much we can do to have long-term implications for human beings. Anyways.
Dang, well said. What I love is that you see from Momentous, not just, hey, we're making great quality products, but also because you now have grown to this level where you're at, you have a platform and you're thinking it's not enough to, quote, just sell the products. Like, what else can we do? And if you can somehow rally around a mission and connect people and start to pull on other levers, I think that's a beautiful, fulfilling mission, and I commend you for it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. Jeff, I know we're up against it with time. Look, I told you before, I'm telling you now, and I'll tell you again afterwards. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful for you taking the time to come in here and share your knowledge and expertise to help people, for the listeners. I'm going to take some time to digest this. Jeff, I might bounce some summaries off of you to get it right. But I want all of this information to help and heal people after this episode and long after. But again, Jeff, man, thank you for being here.
Yeah. Jesse, thank you. This was a ton of fun. I appreciate the curiosity that you brought to it as well.
That's my pleasure. Jeff Byers, everybody. Live deep. All right, everybody. That's the show, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Sober Strength podcast and spending some time with us today. We've got a favor to ask. If you enjoyed the show, would you please consider subscribing to the show and even leaving a rating and review? That simple act drastically helps us reach more people in our mission to help them live better, longer, healthier lives. You can also follow us if you'd like on Instagram and YouTube for regular tips and motivation around mental health, addiction, and so much more. Know that your support fuels our brand and is greatly appreciated. So until next time, stay strong and live deep.